Hello, can you hear me? Okay, good morning to everybody. Good morning, friends. Nice to see you here. I cannot delay anymore. I try to delay so that more people come. I know many are on the streets. Maybe some are finishing their breakfast, some are finishing their coffee. But at least I can see around 100 people are in the hall. And by the time our president will talk, I promise you there will be more than 100. So, good morning again. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of the steering board of Global Wireless Summit, as well as on behalf of executive board of CTIF Global Capsule. So, two terms I have used, CTIF Global Capsule and Global Wireless Summit. I will say a few words about both terms. CTIF Global Capsule is an independent legal organization and working in the cross multidisciplinary area in all the dimensions. Every individual of the world and every organization can join the CTIF Global Capsule as member. It has its own constitution and it has its own law, which is approved under the European regulatory body. It has been registered in Rome last year, last year, and it has its own body and it functions in a democratic way. For every position there is election, like for example president, he or she has to be elected and term is only for 4 years. And maximum only for 2 terms, one can continue as the president, not more than that. Fortunately or unfortunately, I have been unanimously elected as the president, so presently I am the president of CTIF Global Capsule. On that capacity, I am standing here before you. So CTIF Global Capsule, name is very interesting. CTIF, dealing with ICT, Information Communication Technology. Global, it is global organization, and capsule. That's a very historic fact which I will tell you. You know, many of you must have heard about capsule. If you are seriously sick, doctors will prescribe some capsule, antibiotic, to solve the problem, remove the disease. When I was 5 years young boy, my elder sister, she got typhoid. And those days in India particularly, typhoid means death, because medicines were not available in India. So doctors came and talked to my father, sir, it is not possible, medicine is not available in India, and medicine must be obtained within 24 hours. At this point, then only she can survive. And my father managed to get the medicine from London within 24 hours, capsule. I was 5 years young, but I didn't understand what is going on. Only I understood something came capsule and my sister was survived. So from that time, my mind was functioning, something capsule I will also invent. So this is the capsule that was invented. One fine evening in Aalborg, very fine evening, I had invited one of my Danish colleagues for dinner. This is also another interesting story I'm telling you. His name is Peter Lindgren. And around 8 o'clock evening, he asked me, Ramji, I'm feeling hungry. And you have invited me for dinner. And really, I tell you honestly, I forgot that I have invited him for dinner. And I said, I'm sorry, my secretary has gone away, and I don't know the telephone number of the restaurants, so I cannot offer you dinner. And if I call my wife at 8 o'clock evening that I'm coming with a guest to have dinner, then perhaps he will divorce me. So now the question is what to offer to my friend. Luckily, in my office, there is always quite good amount of pistachio, healthy. So I took my pistachio, bag of pistachio, about 1 kilo. He didn't eat all. I started removing and offering him. During the eating of the pistachio, both were hungry actually. 1 hour we ate. We had a dinner of pistachio, very powerful. And we were discussing about CTIF, how it can grow in the future. And then he said, Ramji, capsule. That is what you like. Global is already there, CTIF is there, make it capsule. And the name was invented, that is our joint invention, CTIF Global Capsule. Okay, we gave the name. The question is how to go ahead. We cannot just say it is a body. And we decided to make it a legal organization. We contacted the legal people. Officially, it was inaugurated in Rome, in the same building where Marconi did the first experiment. I think all of you know, most of you are wireless people, radio people, you know who is Marconi. Marconi did his first experiment in Villa Mondragona, and I talked to the rector of the University of Rome that I want the CTIF Global Capsule in this office. He said, Ram, it is not an easy job, for me also as a rector. But luckily he managed, and he decided that opening will be done in this building where Marconi did his first experiment. And CTIF Global Capsule was opened officially in October 2015. Am I right, Peter? And it is now a legal organization. We have the constitution, we have the law, and process is going on. The first meeting took place in NJIT, and second meeting will take place in February this year, not this year, sorry, next year, and where we will have in California, in San Jose, and where officially we will open the first office in the world map. And the second office, I will need your help to open it in Aarhus. Second office, date is not fixed yet, month is not fixed yet. Anything to open needs, that's why I'm talking to you. It needs money, it needs the permission and approval, and what we are planning, second office to be opened before summer holiday next year in Aarhus. And we are also planning to have its own logo in one of the wall of Aarhus University. That I cannot decide, that you will decide, your board will decide where we can put the logo of CTIF Global Capsule. And the third we'll do in Rome, of course, and then we'll go to India, and slowly it will move around the world. This is the plan we have, CTIF Global Capsule. CTIF Global Capsule, carrying out the research across multidisciplinary area. Few examples I will give you. Human bond communication beyond 2050. Human bond communication beyond 2050. That is the first concept we have developed. And H we have taken from human, O we have taken from bond, M we have taken from communication, and E we have taken from beyond. So we created a term home. Human bond communication beyond 2050, home. So this home will not belong to any individual. It will belong to every citizen of the world. And every human being has 5 senses. If you look at the senses, visual, I'm talking, audio, tongue, taste, touch, smell. These are 5 senses we have. If you look at the wireless technology, we can have the transmission for only 2, that is audio and video. Still we are left with 3 senses, which is not happening. There is the open challenge to young scientists, how to create the technology that all the 5 senses of human being gets transmitted and received properly. And that will create the real knowledge. Because if you have all the 5 senses transmission and reception, real knowledge will be created by every individual. Everybody will go to home, create the knowledge, and expose to all over the world to have the socio-economic impact. What we are suffering at the moment, financial crisis in the world, with this knowledge that can be solved forever, and that is the first task of the CTIF Global Capsule in the global map. At the same time, we are also looking for, if I am getting late, stop me. Tell me at least 2 minutes before. Only 2 minutes I have now. You are a tough taskmaster. Okay, 3 minutes, then it is good. So CTIF Global Capsule is a big platform where we are not carrying only research and innovation, we work also for the society. And we create the research for human mind and body. And we are planning to initiate opening of International Peace Center. We need it in the world at this moment. We have so many problems in the globe, and CTF Global Capsule has taken the responsibility how we can bring the peace in the world. So it is not only technology, but we'll go for the peace also. And I know from Thailand, we have more than 12 participants. I met the president of Maphalong University. He said, Ramji, Thailand is open to start your institute in Maphalong University. Vice President is here. She will also give a talk. She will address also during the banquet. So we will hear about those things in detail. Now, coming to the Global Wireless Summit, CTF Global Capsule is a platform where we are carrying out fundamental research, we are carrying out peace for the people, at the same time we are creating a platform for the knowledge. Annually, we conduct 2 events. One is Global Wireless Summit every year, and the other is a strategic workshop. A strategic workshop is a closed-door event where only invited speakers are allowed to come, key persons of the world, not more than 25 people, and we discuss for 2 days in a closed door hot theme of the world, and then we expose to the world what we have discussed. Other hand, Global Wireless Summit, which is an open platform where anybody can come and attend the event. And the first event was held in 2013 in the US. Do you remember the town? Atlantic City in the US. Second was held in Aalborg. Third was held last year, 2015, in India, in Hyderabad. And fourth, we are having in Aarhus, in the great city of Aarhus, great university of Denmark. I will not say much about the university. Our president is here. He will say a few words about the university better than me. And about Global Wireless Summit 2016, General Chair is Peter. He will talk more about GWS 2016. I will not continue more than this. Enjoyed 3 days here. You will learn a lot of things. I have seen there are many important keynote speakers, invited speakers from all over the world, and contributed papers. So enjoy the 3 days, a lot of new things you will learn. And create your own network and find some time to see the beautiful city, Aarhus. Thank you very much, and hope I have not taken more time than what I promised.
Thank you, Randy.
Now I invite the General Chair of the conference to say a few words about GWS 2016. And with this, I switch off.
I think it's everybody can hear me? Yes? Okay. So, dear Rector, dear conference participants, dear IEEE, dear sponsors, dear keynote speakers, authors, reviewers, session creators, and many more dear friends. It's a great honor for me to welcome you all to the GWS 2016 Summit IEEE at Aarhus University. Aarhus is placed in the very heart of the central Denmark region, and it's called the City of Smiles. Please go and have a look at our city and enjoy your stay here in Aarhus. My research team, the MBIT Research Group, and I have been looking forward to hosting you all and to hosting this GWS 2016 IEEE conference. We hope this will be a valuable and inspiring conference for you. More than 33 countries, over 100 papers are presented here for these days. 200 papers were applying to get in, but only 100 passed the review. There was 3 reviewers on each paper. And tonight we will award 3 students and 3 papers, and we will also reward 3 that have done a special work for this conference. A key theme in my research field, multi-business model innovation technology, is to explain the strategic value of technology for business, its users, customers, employees, and networks, and find out how we turn technology into business. Despite many advances in our understanding of the way in which technology contributes to business model value creation and to the betterment of humans, there are still fundamental issues, challenges and opportunities to be addressed in order for us to deal with the challenge of the 21st century landscape. My research group strongly believe we have to find some of the answers in the interdisciplinary, or as Ramdi told, the multidisciplinary collaboration between researchers, industry, students from different fields of competence, and with respect and openness to our difference in not just competences, but also viewpoints and backgrounds. The hidden values, business technologies and potentials lays in these. We believe that the future business models and business model ecosystem will be interdisciplinary. This conference is indeed a spin-out of the interdisciplinary project funded by Aarhus University Interdisciplinary Fund, and we thank them very much for supporting us and giving us this opportunity. The purpose of the GWS 2006 IEEE Summit is to explore new technologies and interdisciplinary business models related to future dynamic, agile value creation, independent of place, things, people, and time. GWS 2016 IEEE Summit addresses some of these key topics, showing and pointing to a multitude of technologies, business models in the 21st century. Security, human bond communication, persuasive technology, energy and climate saving, together with co-creation, represent just some of the topics in a world of increasing complexity and turbulence. Please have a look into the Biogas 2020 Living Lab just outside here that are aiming at creating a future knowledge home, as Ramdi talked about, for a collaboration of biogas and sustainable energy technologies and businesses. The GWS 2016 Global Wireless IEEE Summit at Aarhus University bring researchers, industry, students together from different fields and countries to present, debate, and reflect on creative approaches to global wireless technologies and business models. Throughout the summit, the betterment of man will be looked at from an interdisciplinary perspective and will involve the viewpoints of business and social science, technology, arts, and health. We thank all faculties at Aarhus University to support the GWS 2016 IEEE conference. GWS 2016 Summit Conference keynote speeches, paper presentation, special session, Living Business Model Innovation Lab on sustainable energy, tutorials, and many more value propositions will be given to you as a unique opportunity to create, capture, deliver, receive, and consume knowledge, and not least, meet with old and new network partners to discuss existing and new projects. On behalf of Aarhus University, Business Development and Technology, and of my research group, MBIT, I will welcome all of you to Aarhus and to Aarhus University. I thank you very much for coming. Then I will give the word to our rector, but just before that, just for 2 minutes, I have some practical issues I just wanted to hand over to you. So, today we are gathered at the heart of Aarhus University, the 28th of November 2016. Tomorrow we will move to another campus just down the road, so the 29th will be at the Fuglsangsallee, and the whole conference will be at that place. So if you meet here tomorrow, you will only see the living lab of Biogas 2020. All the rest of the people are on the other side. On the 30th, we'll be back again at the Knowledge Home. So please remember to look into this. Then don't forget to be on time at your sessions. We will be very tough. We have tough chairmen, and the chairmans are already put on all the sessions, so they will be ready for you when you present. Then tonight we will meet at the town hall reception, where we will meet the mayor, and he will speak to us. At 18:45 we will have the gala dinner, and there is a special thing we need to have you to do. So outside here there is a small cube. Somebody would say, why? I won't go into details with that. But you need to have this cube with you, otherwise you cannot get into the gala dinner. Then it's a little bit special also, because those of you who are vegetarian, they should have a yellow cube, so that at the music hall they can see who would like to have the vegetarian. Then there will be the Danish television here, and they will go around and interview you and ask you for business and technology for the future. So please do not be nervous about that. Please tell them all the nice things that you are working with, and this will be gathered in a 2-hour program in the Danish television called the Hard Disken. So it might be a little bit hard. So with these words, I will invite our president to go and welcome you. Thank you very much, Brian.
Dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. I bid you all a warm and a heartfelt welcome to Aarhus University. We are indeed honored and we are delighted to host this year's Global Wireless Summit that brings together business leaders, talented students, scientists and entrepreneurs. Over the course of the next 3 days, you will, I'm absolutely sure, do your level best to look into the crystal ball and catch a glimpse of the future. Your goal will be to overcome barriers and create bridges across disciplines, languages, sectors, and markets. You will address some of the future's global challenges in e-health, sustainable energy, big data, and aerospace, and that is just to name a few. If such topics does not stir one's imagination and curiosity, I cannot really imagine what should do so. But before we, and now excuse me for using an expression from Star Trek, before we beam ourselves into the future, permit me to take a brief detour back in time, to be more precise, back to 1930. That year, the petroleum lamp had been replaced by electrical lighting. The first household appliances, such as the vacuum cleaner, the washing machine, were beginning to be put in use in many homes, and the radio had established itself as the first ever electronic mass media. In that year, 1930, the English economist John Maynard Keynes sat down and wrote a letter to his, at that time, fictive grandchildren. In the letter, he predicted that in 100 years from now was then of course 1930, but in 100 years from that time, they would have to work only 15 hours a week due to the automatization of the production. This would, according to Keynes, eventually release workers from economic bondage. In fact, some would not have to work at all. The greatest challenge, he predicted, would be what to do with all that spare time. Now, here we are, 86 years later, and at least parts of Keynes' visions seems to have become reality. We are, as Keynes rightly predicted, living in a time where automatization and technology indeed affects our society, to the extent that one may seriously wonder what we actually may end up doing in the future, if anything. But what Keynes articulated as a theoretical dream scenario has for a substantial part of the population become a realistic nightmare. Let me substantiate this statement by putting forward another set of more contemporary predictions. Scientists from Oxford claim that in the next 10 to 20 years, every other job is expected to be replaced by robots or another advanced technology. Statement number 2, coming from the US Department of Labor, 65% of the jobs in the future do not even exist at present times. If we do nothing, we will not just look forward to more spare time. Many of us may end up in the queue of unemployed with outdated competences. Advances in technology put our labor markets and businesses under serious pressure, and it pushes the boundaries of the markets for goods and services. From that logic arises the need for rethinking services, products, and work functions. The best way to predict the future is to create it, said Alan Kay, as chief scientist at Atari back in 1982, and I can only agree. So this puts quite a responsibility on your shoulders, you the audience here. We all have to ensure that the next 3 days become more than just informal chats about technology and just a lot of good intentions. We need to go beyond that. We need strong, committed partnership that lasts and bridges the academic disciplines, industries, and public and the private sector. Now, being a rather large educational and research institution, Aarhus University is committed to play its part in this process. Hence, we invite you all to collaborate with our leading researchers and our talented students. We host one of Denmark's largest IT and innovation communities at Katrindebjerg, just 1 kilometer away from this place. Our researchers are focusing on new interesting projects within big data, cybersecurity, and smart industrial products. At our department in Herning, a research group named Multi-Business Model Innovation and Technology, headed by Professor Lindgren, is developing new technologies for both healthcare, elderly care, and food technology, in close collaboration with researchers from around the world. Unlike John Maynard Keynes, I will abstain from coming with detailed predictions about the future. However, what I do know about the future is we have work to do. And the other thing I know about the future, or what I know about humankind, is that the will to will is superior to the ability of being able to. So standing here and looking at all the talented people gathered in this room, I think there's reason to be both hopeful and confident that we are well prepared for the future. Before I end my address, I would like to note that nothing comes out of nothing. It requires hard and dedicated work to organize an event of this magnitude. So allow me to thank and sincerely congratulate our professors at the Department of Business Development and Technology, Peter Lindgren and Ramji Prasad, and Associate Professor Annabeth Aagaard, who together with their team have put a tremendous effort into organizing this year's summit. I do think that a nice round hand of applause will be in order, so please follow me. Thank you all, and thank you very much. Yet again, a very warm and heartfelt welcome to Aarhus University. I wish you all a productive and fruitful summit, and I thank you all for your attention.
Tak skal du have, ja. I would like to introduce the first keynote speaker for this conference. It's Anand Prasad from NEC Japan. Anand Prasad has come from Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands. He's fellow of IETE. He's Chief Advanced Technologist, Executive Specialist at NEC Corporation, Japan, where he leads the mobile communication security activity. Anand is the chairman of Free GPP, SA Free, and GISFI Security and Privacy Group. He has 20 years of experience in all aspects of mobile network industry in companies around the globe. Anand has published 6 books, authors 50 plus peer review papers, and is a passionate speaker in security, Globecom, MWC, RSA. He is editor-in-chief of the Journal of ICT Standardization, published by River Publisher. He is recipient of the 2014 ITU AJ Encouragement Award, ICT Accomplishment Field, and the 2012 ISC Asia Pacific Information Security Leadership Achievement ISLA Award as a Senior Information Security Professional. I know Anand very well from many conferences, so I welcome you very much, Anand, and I hope you will take the floor and do as that was said in the CV. Okay, thank you very much.
Hello everyone, am I audible? Yes, I think so. Let me see, my slides should be somewhere here. All right, good morning everyone, and thank you for being here. As Peter introduced, I'm Anand, and I'm working at NEC, and it's a great pleasure to see many known faces in the crowd here, and many respectable faces here. But first, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me as a keynote speaker of this prestigious conference. My talk today is on 5G IoT security. So I would like to first explain this and then go into the presentation. On purpose, I am not calling it 5G or IoT or else and IoT. Yeah? I think that the world is moving towards digitization. You all will say the same thing. And with this digitization, it means that everything will get connected. And everything is getting connected. Yeah? That's the case I will build in this keynote, and I hope you will agree with me as we move ahead. And therefore, I call it 5G IoT. 5G will be IoT. IoT is a key ingredient of 5G. It's a core of 5G. That's how I think. And then security. You need to provision security to it. So security is a very nice term. You know, we have heard about the capsule, and security will be the capsule. The solution for security issues will be the capsule, probably. We have heard about multidisciplinary, and there again, security becomes extremely important. And if you have seen the recent movie where Pierce Brosnan, IT, you understand the security issues there as well, which is quite realistic, actually, when you see that movie which shows about security issues. But it's all about issues, yeah? And you need to resolve those issues. What do you do for that? In your computer, you have antivirus, or you have some firewall in the network, things like that. These are different ways to resolving your issues, but that's not the only thing about security. Security have 2 other points. One thing that I'll also try to show you about it is that security brings new business. Yeah? It's not just to protect your stuff. You can create new business from security. At the same time, security is the core of mobile communications business. Yeah. What is the business of mobile communication? Probably we should see that first. So, like any other business, you need to earn money. Yeah. You get money from the customer, and that's the whole business. You have to put the whole thing in very simple terms. You get money from your customer. Good. How do you get the money from your customer? The customer uses services from you. Yeah. So you charge the customer for the services used. Good. So, but how do you know that the customer is the customer and that he has used the service or she has used the service? Well, for that, you have to identify the customer. And to identify the customer, you need to do authentication. Yeah? Without this authentication, in mobile communication network, you cannot charge any user anything. Yeah? And that is actually the heart of security, and that heart of security is the nucleus of mobile communications business. I really want you to understand that. Security doesn't mean just firewall or network devices that protect your network. Yeah? So let's move ahead with that case made a bit and bit of things that I expected you to hear from me. And I should watch about the time as well. You'll take care of that. All right. Well, this slide is about my company, NEC, Orchestrating a Brighter World. Yeah. Let's move ahead. The table of contents, I'll talk about 3 main points. I will give you a background of 3GPP and the activities happening there. As you know, the 3rd generation partnership project is the one that is developing 5G specifications, and I'll come to that a bit. And then I'll go into 5G IoT. I'll take more of a ITU look on that. And then after that, I'll go 5G IoT and security. That's a bit where I will present my own opinion about the whole 5G IoT and security concepts. Yeah? And there I'll spend a bit more time. Let's see on the 3GPP aspect. 3GPP is a group where I think most of you know about it, but roughly I want to cover these 3 groups here. There's the SA, systems aspect related. It's in the middle of the 3 I had shown, the radio access network, the radio part, the CT, the terminals, and the other protocol details. Yeah. Inside the SA part, ASG, SA, you see a working group called SA Working Group 3. This is a security working group, which I chair. Yeah. And the security activity happening here is not just for the whole of SA part. We do security for the whole of 3GPP system. Any new system, any issues happening, we take care of that. So that means RAN-related security issues, it is a SA system-related, architecture-related security aspects, or the protocol aspects, everything comes here in this group. Yeah? And just one sentence about what we do. As 3GPP, the people in there from different companies and different industries, as well as from different governments or regulators, we make specifications. Yeah? We don't make standards. We make specifications that's taken by standards bodies of different parts of the world, and then it becomes standards of those countries. Yeah? And that's given as HC, TTC, RI, things like that. All right. With that background, let's move ahead with from 4G towards 5G, and the past as well. Eh? You have seen about the past going from different data rates. I've just made a chart here. I've been using it for quite some while, so at some point it is stopping. That's when I last made it. But anyhow, it gives a good picture about how the data rate increased with time. That's how the technology and generations came up, and there are different releases of 3GPP standards that was developed. Now, what happened is that when we moved to 4G, we moved completely away from circuit switch. We had circuit switch, we went to circuit switch and packet switch, and with 4G, that's a marketing term, SAE, LTE more of, we moved to completely packet switched. All right? So that's where we are, and then from now on, we are moving towards 5G, and that's what we are calling release 14 onwards. A rough timeline is something like that. The timeline always changes with time, and the contents of the timeline also changes as we become more concrete about what we can really develop in the given space, given time space. We are now in release 14, where we are doing a study about 5G in 3GPP, and that's going to end in June 2017. Release 15 is when we start with the initial specifications. The phase 1 is expected to end by September 18, and release 16 by March 2020. That's a phase 2. The details of phases and the contents of each phase, there is some agreements actually what it will have, at least the first phase. For security group, the SA3, we will have our discussion in the week of 12th of December to decide about what we'll have in phase 1 and what are the priorities to be resolved. If you want, I will not cover those points here, but if you want, I can discuss with you later on individually as well. So now coming from 4G to 5G, a few points here. It's not that we are making a jump. You know, 4G by itself was a big jump. We went to higher data rate. We went to packet switch solutions. But besides that, what we did in 4G is the first one you're seeing, IOPS. Actually, what we said is that the network can work without the core network. Yeah? That's something totally new. After that, we developed mission-critical solutions, which we were doing public safety stuff, but complete mission-critical solution and covering the application part as well was a completely new thing for mobile communication standards. Yeah? We were saying application is separate. We would support services, but not provide applications. Yeah? And then we moved further on. We said that, hey, you can do aggregation. Yes, in wideband CDMA with software handover and stuff, you do connect to multiple base stations. But what we did here is that you can connect to multiple base stations at the same time, and with one leg in the back hall or multiple legs in the back hall, and you can provision service on these multiple base stations at the same time for the given device. What it does is that it provides bandwidth on the front, on the air interface side, or bandwidth on the back, depending on the need of the operator. And of course, in security people, we provision security for it to work properly. But not only that, we also developed solution so that Wi-Fi and LTE, unlicensed and licensed band, could be aggregated together. Yeah? And then you can have higher bandwidth and services as such. We also developed device-to-device communication. Yeah? Proximity-based services is what we call in standards term. But device-to-device communication. In the licensed band, you can have two devices directly communicating to each other. And that too, it can happen when they are out of coverage. We developed those specifications already in our 3GPP activity, related to 4G, mind you. And then we also have the IoT specifications. Yeah? So it was not just increase in data rate going into packet switch, but a total transformation of how the mobile communication system looks like. And now what we are doing as well is developing a V2X, vehicle to everything solution. Yeah? And here, of course, you come to each of them, as you are seeing, have very different requirements and have very different security implications. I will touch them as well later in one place to explain those points. But V2X, again, certainly one thing you understand is that time is a very big issue. Yeah? Resource, time also becomes an extremely important resource for security and for your communication purposes, not only the CPU and memory. So the take is that we have 4G already, it has gone far beyond any kind of mobile standards that we had seen till today. And therefore 5G starts from there. It has to take this as a base architecture to move ahead. You know, it doesn't make sense to throw out everything that's already done and start from scratch. Okay? So that's how I think 5G it will be. It's much more than data rates, and that's where the IoT and different kind of services falls into 5G from the starting point itself. So 5G IoT, from ITU perspective, I have a couple of slides here you might have seen as well. You might have seen this triangle actually. You have on the top very high data rates. Yeah. So of course you're going to a new system, you get a high data rate. You might see in the left side where you have IoT devices actually and related devices which require high reliability. And on the right side, you have lots of IoT devices that can live with lower data rates. They can live with higher delays. Okay, that's a rough triangle that's drawn. And if you go further, I'm not going to get into all the details of this. You can also download the ITU document from the web. But just touching a few key points, which will take me to the next step of my presentation, is that what you observe here is as well. Let's see, higher data rates. Yeah, you're going to compare to IMT Advanced. You're going to much higher data rates. What you're also seeing on the bottom here is the latency aspects. You're going to 1 milliseconds. You never know, touching towards nanoseconds at some point. Yeah, so to very high data rate, very low latency, and very high speed of mobility as well. Sorry, I'm going ahead with my presentation. Very high mobility of 500 kilometers per hour, not second, which actually, if you look the use cases in a different way, brings you to this chart as well. Let me skip this chart because of time as well. Let's move ahead with the 5G IoT and security aspect, which is the main part of this presentation today. So if I put the picture of mobile communication network like this, which I am pretty sure agree with me, Then let's see what are the changes happening and expected to happen in different parts of the system. Yeah. This is something that will not happen tomorrow, but it is progressively happening. If you look at the business part, there is open APIs being provided by operators. So if you want to provision voice over IP services over the operator network, you can do that through some of the operators who provide the API for that, for example. You have different kind of services over operators. Yeah? Of course, the walled garden concept has long gone, but then you're getting much more new things like sponsored data. You have the public safety as well coming into this licensed mobile networks operated by mobile operators instead of government agencies. The end devices, you're getting variety of end devices. You can see your smartphones and the different kind of OSs, but also, I think I'll touch next, but it's open source and also IoT devices as well. And then the credential part that I told you, maybe let's go a bit deeper here. You authenticate the user, yeah. To authenticate the user as well as the network, you need some kind of security credential, yeah. And that is also seeing some changes. If you go on further, the spectrum, variety of spectrum coming into picture, radio access technology, there is enhancement happening, and the core network, which is also touching the radio access network, is going more and more open source and off the shelf. You're seeing virtualization and radio as well coming. And the user space is expanding. The number of users and the type of users globally are increasing. And if you see specific changes from 5G perspective, is that in the business aspect, more and more partners are coming. You were talking about multi-business aspect, and that's very much true. Today, you cannot talk about business that one company does it all. You do need partners to do any kind of business. It doesn't make sense to develop all the technologies by yourself. It's far too wide. In the mobile communication space as well, for the operator's perspective, as we move ahead towards 5G, more and more partners will come in pictures, all right? And then services, IoT type, we talked about car. Car can be a kind of IoT, but at the same time, your bicycle can have sensors in it. It can also have IoT devices. A soap dispenser can have sensors in it and give the information to the back somewhere to the service provider of soap dispensers, and that is also IoT services. And then end devices. We have all our smartphones, yeah, and they'll be getting better and better. But at the same time, you will have end devices like I talked about the bicycle or a dog's collar, for example. Yeah, they will also have your mobile devices in them. And these devices will be very small, requiring very long battery life, and have very less resources in terms of CPU and memory. Okay? And then the credentials itself, the security credentials, that if you go down further, will change. Different kind of credentials will come in picture. If you look at the partners there, then these partners will have their own way of authentication or security, and thus requiring different credentials. The user space, it will go very deep. There will be first-time ICT users who will know nothing about communication or security. But they will be millennials, and millennials I don't define as maybe others define, but as people who are more aware of ICT will be there, knowing about security, understanding about privacy implications as well. And then the spectrum side, if you move ahead, you're going into 30 gigahertz range, yeah, which means that you stay basically inside one room, and then you'll have cognitive radio aspect, you have primary and secondary users. And in terms of network, you have slicing, and stuff like that. So what are the security implications of all these? Let's look at the slicing part, yeah, in the core network if you provide slicing. And this will touch the whole picture that I have drawn here. What you'll do is that there'll be a third party or the operator itself providing a slice. A slice being that a network is being created potentially for a given service or for a given business purposes, okay? So this will have its own security requirements. All right. So if there is a car manufacturer wants to have its own slice for update of firmware, then there is a slice created for that. The car manufacturer is the service provider here, okay? And this service provider with its car in there driving will be connecting to a given slice of the network. Now for that to do the firmware update, you need very high level of security. You have very strong security requirements. Any kind of issue that happens will lead to the car to stop or getting hacked or getting into an accident. In that case, the network itself, you'll have higher security requirements, and the security for the communication also you'll have much higher, all right? So you will have strong authentication going on over there. You'll have proper key management and cryptographic algorithms going on over there. You'll provide confidentiality and integrity for sure, okay? But if you look at a case where in the car itself, if we talk, you just want to provide multimedia services. That might be coming out from a multimedia content provider, for example. In that case, you want to take care that the multimedia, the content itself is not distributed to others. Yeah? There's a different kind of security requirement here. You might be okay with providing confidentiality, maybe you don't need integrity. But you want to provide multicast services and provision security for this multicast service, and there's keys for this multicast for two different users. Yeah? So there are different variations that will come in. All right? Now, if you look at the partners part, what you see is that the partner will have to connect to the mobile operator. Okay? So you need the authentication of the partner itself. And then the users of the partner. Now, the partner, the example we often say is a factory. And a factory has its own system, which has its own authentication mechanism. Now, the users of this partner needs to be authenticated by the factory, or would it be by the mobile network itself? All right? And within that, for all the users, you'll have to give different keys for different uses and purposes. If you look at the virtualization part, what happens here is that the mobile device that is hardware-based today becomes virtual. Each virtual network device now has to cater for each user's security and contains all the security credentials of the user. Now you're making it virtual instead of storing it in hardware, you're storing it in software. This can create attacks. When you go to cloud, this virtual device can move from one hardware to other hardware, and just think of the security implications that this can bring as well. Now, if you look at the radio access part, you can have very high data rate. What does high data rate means? Yeah, in a different sense, if you want to see, you want to decrease the delay for the traffic to get into the air. Yeah, you have to do very good processing on the device. Yeah, which doesn't mean only that you have better CPUs and faster memory accesses, but you need better algorithms as well, which are fast in nature. You want to decrease the number of to and fro communication going on over the air, over the whole communication system itself. So you have to optimize over there as well. Yeah? You might want to decrease the number of bits that goes on the air itself. Now let us look, this is the high data rate side. Let us look at the low data rate side. What happens now is the IoT devices like the dog skull or the cycle, which want a 10 years battery life, you can actually only send a few bits per day in the air. Yeah? And still you want to provision same level of security. That can be quite difficult. You have to take the algorithms now are sensitive to energy as well. Yeah? And then they are sensitive to the resources of that low level as well. And still provision security with a few bits only over the air. There's a whole range of requirements coming here. All right. And then you talk about high mobility and still provisioning the security. It can bring its own requirement as well. Actually, if you go back to the few bits per day kind of low-end IoT devices, you're talking about today you're providing integrity in every signaling channel of 32 bits. For those few bits, if you're sending just 64 bits a day, and you put half of that on integrity, that will kill the system. Now, if you look at all these things, yeah, the network will have to provision some level of security. Even if you have your mobile devices, which have super CPUs in them, and provision security by itself, the network will have to take care that future attacks are prevented. Yeah, any kind of cyber attacks, it keeps on coming. IoT devices with very low security possibility, also the network will have to provision security solutions for that. Yeah. And of course, for the user space as well, for the first-time user. So if we look at a list of whole thing, a couple of things that I did not mention, you will come up with a new kind of identity. You will have the authentication, you will have the confidentiality, you will have the integrity, you will have the key management. You'll have the storage aspect. I'm sorry I didn't touch so much of the storage, but what will happen is that actually storage and credentials, both of them, let's look at it a bit because that's a very interesting part of the whole game over here when we move towards future. You do authentication, and I told you that then you store the key required for that in some storage, all right? And in our 3GPP system, we do a specific kind of authentication we call AKA, and you have the key K for that that's stored there in a hardware that's called your UICC. What happens if you move ahead and start storing it differently? Yeah. What happens if you start storing in a software? Because you have very cheap IoT devices where you have the ARPU, say, a few cents a month, and the device itself is few cents. And if you put a hardware in there which costs $1 or $2, the business model does not make sense. Yeah? So how do you do in that case? So there's quite a big issue over there. And then will you provide the same kind of authentication as before, or will you change it? There are quite a few issues in there. I'm being said that I'm running out of time. All right, let's touch at mobility aspect as well. What happens when you're moving? You have to take care of change of keys all the time. For each purpose, you should have different key. And you should be able to change that keys regularly. Now, if you're moving, you have to change the keys regularly as well. And what the interesting part here is that if you get attacked at a given moment, you should take care that you cannot be attacked in the past and you cannot be attacked in the future. Which means, if an attacker is kind of recording your traffic on the past, by knowing the key at a given moment, should not be able to crack the things in the past that he has stored, or in the future. So you provision forward and backward security. At the same time, there are a couple of other things that I'm talking here about that I didn't touch in previous slide: assurance, and you have life cycle security, and then you should provide monitoring. And it is mobile communication system, so you do need lawful interception. Without that, in many countries, you cannot actually use the services. Let me still touch a few things before I end it. One point, let me skip this, I'll just say quickly, one point I talk very often is the network guardian, where you can do from auditing all the way to testing, monitoring, and after that, forensics. That will be required by any operator, any services as we move ahead, even today. And the other point where I say that people can make money out of security is secure network as a service. Here, what I am showing is that there is a service provider here, say over here for the car, and there is a network created, a slice created for the car itself, which will provision specific services. This is the whole mobile network, the yellow one, and this green one provides specific services for that given car usage. So be it multimedia, be it a firmware update purpose, which are different, or be it a rental. Yeah. And inside the network, then you'll have to provision monitoring, analysis, and control. And the monitoring, the analysis, you have different parts, and in that also comes machine learning. But I think we have to go beyond that as we move ahead in time. And then inside the network itself, you'll have to provision dynamic policies. As things changes, you have to control depending on situation. So I think we can discuss probably separately because I'm running out of time. Give me one more minute. To me, this secure network as a service is a big change in our mobile communication business. That's my honest thinking. The whole value chain will have impact, and security from now on can truly become a business. And as a last bit, 3 big points, and inside that smaller one: take care of baseline security. Always take care of operating system security, password, and the protocol security at least. Yeah. New security things will come in, like virtualization, cloud aspects, algorithms, and the protocols itself, optimization of them, and many other things like authentication, key management that we're already working on. And at the end, do remember that security is not just the word security you used as firewall or antivirus. It's far more than that. Security is the business driver. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. Maybe I can allow for one question. So nobody, I hope everybody will go and have a talk with Anand in the coffee break. So thank you very much, Anand.
Thank you all.